Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Past Secret. Me, 26 female, with my boyfriend, 27 male, 2.5 years. Do I tell? We actually knew each other from high school but never dated. He was a popular guy and was the star of our local basketball team. I was just a shy girl who spent most of her time dreaming of faraway places. He also was then and is still now a devoutly religious man. I, on the other hand, not so much. The issue stems from something I did almost 5 years ago now. I went out west to college and just did not do as well as I had hoped. Spent too much time overcoming my shyness and did not study as I should have. In other words, I partied a lot and got drunk a lot. He knows all of that, by the way, but that's not the issue. Anyway, after I dropped out of college, I kind of floated around jobs, and long story short, I went to one of those filmed auditions for adult videos. I knew what it was, and at the time I just thought that maybe this would be a way out for me. I hated every moment of it. The filming took almost 3 hours because I kept excusing myself to go to the bathroom and cry. I tried to leave the set twice, only to have this creep talk me into staying by offering me more money. Needless to say, I did not do anything else like that ever again. It was humiliating and degrading. My problem is I know for a fact that my boyfriend is going to propose to me this weekend. His mom let it slip. My video is old and I have no idea how to even find it. I've never seen it and have no desire to, but my fear is that someday someone will share it with him. He knows I've been with other men and I know he's been with other women. Remember me saying he was popular? Well, yeah. So it's not like he thinks he's getting a virgin here, but this is on another level and this would be him having to see it. I'm just so afraid that something like this would affect our relationship because I'm not really sure that there are a lot of guys out there who would want it to be known that their wife did a smut shoot. I know I need to tell him, but I don't know how. Well, I probably do know how, but I'm just not brave enough. Should I tell him before he proposes, or do I wait till after? I think if I tell him before, this will give him a chance to rethink the proposal, which is heartbreaking to think about. Any thoughts on when to discuss this would be appreciated. Well, OP, the good thing about all of this, if there's a silver lining, is that you are on board with telling him. I think it's good that you understand the importance of actually giving him this information, because I believe it's better that it comes from you than some guy in the future telling him, hey, is this your wife? Or is this your girlfriend? Now, regarding your question of whether you tell him before he proposes or after he proposes, before. In my opinion, if you tell him what you did and why you did it, then I'd think he'd appreciate that you're being open and honest about something that you're not proud of and is actually haunting you, and it's putting you under all of this stress because you don't know whether to tell him or not. And if he proposes with this information in know, then you know he is for real. On the other hand, telling him after he proposes, I believe won't make you look that good. So OP, in my opinion, you need to tell him as soon as possible. And what do you guys think OP should do in this situation? Telling before or after the proposal? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Delta Alpha Movember says, you should tell. Home videos with an ex? That's one thing. Filming smut? That's a material omission if you don't tell the person you intend to marry. Why? Because full disclosure is implied in the decision to get married. You marry the whole person, not the person minus the skeletons in their closet that they choose not to tell you about. Since you know he's going to propose, you should tell him before that happens. It'll only get worse if he finds out later from someone else. Pancake Ice says, I think you should tell him, just because of the guilt and shame you have over it. I don't think it is likely he will stumble upon it, but it is possible. From the sounds of your post and comments, this is eating you up inside, and it was something you did years ago and not related to him. I don't think it's something you need to do before the proposal if it is this weekend, but perhaps in the next couple of weeks. I think a man worth his salt will see it as a mistake, something you regret doing at a difficult time in your life. I think you should go to therapy, and if he doesn't take it well, go to therapy together too. Shalano613 says, if he loves you as much as you say and he sees that you really regret it and were desperate, I don't see why he'd cancel the engagement. Explain to him that you've regretted it all this time and you're sorry for keeping it from him for all this time. You obviously don't know what he would think if he found out. If he cares about you and loves you as much as he should, he'd only be there for support and to try to help you as much as possible. If you've both been with other people, then it's not that crazy, especially since this happened years prior when you were younger and less mature. This is something you think he should know as you guys prepare to start your life together. If he can't understand that and be supportive, then he doesn't deserve you. Additional information from OP's comments. Just so you all know, my childhood was really not that bad. My parents are good people and I never wanted for anything. So I didn't do it because my life turned out that way or I didn't have any chances in life, so I turned to that. No, I hold myself accountable for what I did. I decided to party during my college time and then dropped out. This is on me and it was the low point of my life. After I did it, I remember going back to my apartment and drinking until I couldn't feel anything and stayed that way for 2 days. Then I cried for a solid week. Honestly, if I could have a time machine, I would go back and disconnect my car battery that night so I could never have driven there. Now, I know that we all have pasts, and he and I have talked about ours, and he has been upfront about saying that we won't drag up each other's past to the other. However, what I did, to me anyway, was pretty vile. I mean, I accepted cash for sex and it being filmed. I'm not okay with it, so how the hell can I expect the man I love to be okay with it? I wish I were brave, but I'm so damned afraid of this. He is the man of my dreams, and if this makes him view me in less of a way, I am going to be devastated. I feel like he kind of deserves to know. What happens if someday someone tells him, or worse, shows him? I just did a search and found it in no time, so if it's that easy, there is no doubt someone someday will show it to him. I was going to tell him anyway, but this convinced me that I am doing it tonight. The damn video is still on their website. I didn't even recognize myself at first because my hair was both shorter and a different color during that time frame, but there can be no doubt it was me. I haven't drank in a while, but I honestly had to take a shot to calm my nerves after I saw it. Well, that is, after I threw up. It was the kick in the skirt I needed to just bite the bullet and tell him right now. Alright, well, the community agrees that OP needs to tell him. There is a little bit of a debate whether to do it before or after the proposal. I think before, but that's my personal opinion. And in the additional information, we now know that OP is going to tell him as soon as possible. So let's move on with the first of 2 updates to see how this story continues. This was the hardest night of my life. My entire future was hanging on the hopes that the man who I love more than anything would not leave me for a past that I am deeply ashamed of. The moment he opened the door with a big smile on his face, I started crying, which of course changed him to ask what was wrong. I just sat him down and gathered myself. I tried to get the courage by dancing around it, but I knew that I was trying to justify and sugarcoat it, so I just came out and said it. He sat there silent and kind of stunned looking, but he didn't say anything, so I kept talking. I went on to talk about my shame, how I was afraid to tell him, and how I understood if this was something he couldn't live with, although it would kill me. He still said nothing. So I just kind of looked at him and started crying because I knew it was over. I could just tell by the look on his face it was over. He finally spoke up and asked if I would mind if he went and got something from his car, which I thought was weird but said sure. He comes back in a few minutes later carrying his Bible and he sets it down in front of me and then simply asks me to tell him anything else that I think he needs to know now and to not hold back or sugarcoat it for him. I said there was nothing else because that was as bad of something as I can imagine someone like him, or me for that matter, knowing about someone. He still sat there looking at me, but now he is literally hugging his Bible. So I can't take it anymore and just ask him to talk to me. He said that this wasn't what he was expecting to hear tonight when I asked him over, but he was thankful and grateful to me for being honest with him and not having someone else tell him this. He did ask me if this was the only film I made, and I told him yes. I even volunteered the information that it was only one guy and there was nobody else in the office area. I wanted him to know that it wasn't with 3 or 4 guys while there was a film crew watching, not that it makes what I did any better. The next thing that happened is the most surreal thing that has ever happened to me in my life. He asked me to pray with him. I was stunned but went along with it. Remember, I am not a believer, so to me this felt fake, but for his sake I did it. I wasn't sure what to do, so we knelt down in front of my couch and he prayed. What he said during the prayer melted my heart because I was expecting, at the very least, for him to pray for forgiveness for my sins or something like that. All he did was ask for healing for me and to take away the burden of guilt from me. He did ask for strength for himself and for forgiveness for his sin. It was hallowed to me as far as religion went, but what he was saying was key to me, that this wonderful man was asking that I be freed from guilt. When he did this, a warm feeling shot over me. Nothing religious, of course, just a rush of endorphins most likely, but I felt totally relieved. We got up and he simply kissed me. I started crying again, but he made me look him in the eye and he told me that he loved me for who I was and that he did not judge my past. He said nothing had changed between us other than we are now 100% in this together. The only bad thing he did was he found my vodka stash when he went to get a drink. He told me there were no answers in here and he dumped it down the sink. He never said that alcohol wasn't allowed. He was more right than he knew, but I'll be damned if it still didn't sting to see that last drop go. We talked, and as the night went on, we talked less and less about it till we didn't talk about it anymore. Honestly, I can't believe he took it as well as he did. In fact, I can't think of any way better anyone could have taken it, to be honest with you. He never asked to see the video or about the video, so I didn't offer to show it to him. $2,000 almost cost me the man of my dreams. Extended update from OP's comments. He is the most kind, considerate, decent man I've ever known other than my own father. I'm agnostic myself, but I respect people who truly believe, and he truly does. He never once preached to me or told me I'm going to hell or anything of the sort. He invites me to go to church with him, but has never pushed me to go. The people in his church are super nice, and honestly, there is a part of me that wishes I could believe like they do because some of them seem to be at such peace with themselves. He got rid of my vodka for me because he knows I've had problems in the past. If I would have told him to not do it, he would have stopped. Also, he absolutely is aware that I am not a believer. We have had several long discussions about faith and how we see each other because of it. He has made it a point several times to tell me that finding my own path is not something he will ever interfere in or impose on me. Of course, he wants me to believe as he does, and honestly, I want to believe as he does. Early on, I asked how this was going to work if I never believed, and he said that he would believe and just trust in the Lord. I'm honestly not sure what that means, but it sounded nice. Anyway, I wanted to thank you guys from yesterday. You gave me the courage I needed to tell him, and while I still hate what I did, I at least have the peace of mind of knowing he doesn't hate me for it. Well, OP, I'm gonna count this as a happy, positive update. You told him what, in your own words, is the one thing you are most ashamed of, and he prayed for you to be unburdened of your guilt. That's awesome. However, this isn't the end of the story. As you know, we have a final update, so let's move on with that to see how this story ends. I can't stop crying. I just got home and I'm so happy that I feel like, well, I don't know what I feel like because I have never been this happy in my life. Even though his mom slipped up last week and told me, I was totally not expecting this to happen today. I honestly thought that at the very least he would take a few weeks to let the dust settle or something. Tonight, while we were at dinner, the waiter delivered a rose to me at our table and said it was from the gentleman, my now fiance. I love saying that. He said it wasn't from him, but it looked like it was from the guy in the kitchen. I was really confused by this, and he points behind me, and I turn to look to see the head chef coming out bringing a cake to our table. What I didn't see was that he got up out of his chair and was behind me on his knee. The chef asked me if I liked my rose, and I said yes, and he said I would really like this cake. He set it down in front of me, and this is when I noticed him not in his seat and saw him next to me. I knew then and started to cry, but he said read the cake. All it said was, will you? He then goes on to try and ask me to marry him, and I know he talked, but I have no idea what he said because I was about to faint and cry, and then at the end he just said, will you? And I shook my head yes because I couldn't speak. I'm still in shock, to be honest with you. We went to his parents to show off the ring and tell everyone. He then went to my parents and I found out from them that they knew this was coming for almost a month. He actually went to ask my mom and dad if they would be okay with us getting married. They love him, so that was never a question. We then went and sat alone for a few minutes in a park near my house. Not once has he said a word to me about my past since that first day, and he didn't say anything about it tonight either. I'm just going to believe him that this is in the past for the both of us now, and I am going to spend the rest of my life trying to be the woman and wife that he deserves. I don't feel like I deserve this from life, but I think I am going to work on accepting that maybe I have paid for my past's mistakes, and the long-term reward is being his. I don't know if anyone will care or not about this, but I thought I would let you guys know. Thank you all so much for your help and understanding. Well, OP, this is even better news. The one thing I am going to say is that if he was able to get past it and not even care about it and just prayed for you to be burden-free, then I think it's time that you do forgive yourself. And if you find it difficult, maybe somebody else can help you do it, because you deserve to. Please take care of yourself, and all the best to the both of you in the future. And now, let's move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Tbone24. You can't park there. Okay, you can, but it will cost you. My parents had this problem with a guy parking a tractor trailer on their land. He lives right across from one of their pecan groves. The grove has well-spaced trees all in neat rows. The grass is mowed super short and the ground is really flat. It looks like an ideal place to pull your rig if you don't know better. The ground is so flat because they used mechanical harvesting. Bumps and grooves can't cause the machines to leave pecans laying on the ground. A 2-inch deep groove from a big truck like that can hold thousands of dollars of pecans and will until it's fixed. Oh, and you have to get them up by hand. It's a big deal when someone screws with your livelihood like that. So the guy parks there one time. They get it, he probably doesn't understand he is causing so much trouble. Dad goes down, explains the damage he has done, and tells him the groove is private property and to not do it again. Dude, we'll call him Dude, agrees and apologizes. Dad goes home and fixes the damage midweek. Next Friday, there is the truck again, same spot. Dad, not about to put up with this, calls the sheriff department. A cop comes and the truck moves. That fixes the damage midweek. Next week, no truck. 1 week later, the truck is back. Repeat complaint for trespassing to the sheriff. The dude claims he forgot. He drives over the road and his Home Depot where his car is parked is 30 miles away. It is convenient for Dude to forget because he saves his gas and time by driving his employer's rig and parking it on my parents' land. Also, he doesn't get nailed if his cab isn't clean. No other driver gets assigned his truck. There are plain motivations. Dude clearly does not forget every time he is home, but this is what he claims to the deputies sent out on the complaints. After 7 times the sheriff department is called, he finally gets a trespassing citation. No fine is levied. Drives his car 2 weeks in a row. Following week, the truck is back. At this point, my dad has fixed this damage so often that he's keeping a tractor and blade on the property, so it gets done faster and easier. Calls the sheriff yet again. The sheriff himself comes out this time. Truck leaves and the sheriff comes to see my dad. Says the enforcement problem is that it is hard to explain to a court the harm when pictures hardly show any damage, and Dude always apologizes and moves the truck when deputies come. Says getting Dude for trespassing under those circumstances is going to be tough, but he is on this and will see it through for my parents, but his office is 30 miles away, not that many deputies to be patrolling, etc. And then the sheriff, bless his little elected heart, says, but if there was something different, like a theft of services going on, cue Malicious Compliance. The next day, signs go up on 80 trees in a row, 8,000 feet, they are 100 feet apart. Semi-parking, $500 an hour. Prepay, violators will be towed. Dude doesn't pay the signs any mind. Dude does, however, pay the tow truck and the deputy quite a bit of mind. Comes running and screaming, waving his arms as they are hooking up. Well, before my dad called to have him towed, everything was documented, including having the sheriff himself drive by and take several pictures of the truck parked with the clearly visible signs. Everything is put on hold while Dude's employer, who owns the truck, drives out. After 3 hours, Dude's boss gives up and writes a check for $7,800 to cover parking and tow truck fees. That actually covered the tow truck, all the repairs, printing the signs, and beer for about a year for my dad's Tuesday poker gathering. Salute. Dude, who still lives there, does not park in the Pecan Grove. His boss's payroll deducted his checks for 2 years. Well, the signs clearly stated what would happen if he parked there. Thank you for sharing, OP. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.